Hello everyone, I'm Andy from the Pixel Pup, and I'm here to talk about some of my favorite moments in video games. Okay, this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. Been putting it off, and I was just like having my list slowly put together, and when something would pop in my head and I would think, yeah, I really like that moment, And I came up with a list of 12 games here. So obviously there's going to be some spoilers in this video. So right now I'm going to put right here the games that I'm talking about. And in the what do you call it? The information, the little thing at the bottom of the video, I'm going to put in timestamps of when I talk about certain games. So if you don't want to be spoiled by a certain game, but you do want to see some of the other games I'll talk about, you can refer to that. So yeah, this is 12 games. They're not in any order. I didn't number them at all. It's just how I put my list together and what I thought of first. So here we go. Let's start out with the first game. Okay, the first game on this list says Control from Remedy. Super fun games that came out a few years ago, where you play as Jessie, and she's got to go to the Department of Control to find her brother, and weird stuff's happening from the very get-go. Just finding the Department of Control is not very easy for her, but as you go through the game, you run into this janitor named Ati, I believe, and he's got this Walkman on, this old school Walkman with a tape player in it. He's always listening to music, and he's always saying weird stuff that don't make any sense. And towards the end of the game, you go to the ashtray maze, and that is my favorite moment in that game. It is so freaking cool. You run into Adi again, and he gives you, I believe I pronounced his name right, and he gives you his Walkman and his headphones, and he's like, hey, this will help unlock the ashtray maze, because you see it before in passing, because it's kind of like almost like a Metroidvania where you're running around this Department of Control, and you go through the door, and then the music starts playing. It starts playing with the old guards of Asgard, playing a song called Control, and the level just starts flipping out. The walls start moving and everything, and the music is paced with the level. And by this point, Jessie's unlocked all these different powers. She can freaking fly at this point, and you're just destroying enemies while crazy crap's moving all around you, and this crazy music's playing. It was so awesome. It hit me out of nowhere. I'd heard the term ashtray maze before I'd gotten to that point, but I had no idea what was going to happen, and I was completely blown away. I was like, man, this is incredible. It's one of those moments where when I recommend people play Control, I really want to get to that part because it's so cool. I love that part. Okay, next up on my list is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and the moment that I'm going to talk about here is when you first discover the inverted castle. I'd bought this game kind of sight unseen. I didn't know anything about it at the time. I did get it in 98, I believe, is when it came out, and I just didn't know that there was going to be a whole nother castle to explore. When you're playing through the game, you can go fight the final boss, which is Richter, and you can beat him and you can get an ending, but it's not the good ending. But as you play through the game, you start to get these items that are like, hey, you got this gold ring, the silver ring, hey, wear them in the they had descriptions on them, and you read the whole thing. It's like, hey, wear these in the clock room, and you do, and you unlock another boss, Shaft, and you fight him, and you get these holy glasses, and it's like, okay, if you wear those and you fight Richter, you see a ball above Richter, and you destroy that, it unlocks this whole new castle. And like, I was completely blown away. I had no idea that was going to happen. When I first got that original ending, I was like, what's going on here? Something's not up. Something's not right. I just kept playing, and I found that part, and I was just, my little 12-year-old brain was blown. I was like, I didn't know a game would do this to me. And I played through the inverted castle. The inverted castle, not as good as the original castle, because it is just the castle itself flipped upside down, and you're running around the ceiling and everything. But by that point, you have, all the maneuverability abilities that you need to get around that castle, and it's a super cool moment when you find this room outside a little Dracula's keep, and it's like these two angels kind of touching each other, one from the bottom, one from the top, and you press up, and all of a sudden you're upside down. It was completely original at the time, I felt. Okay, next up, it's kind of a cop-out maybe, I don't know, but it is Insryption. I can do an entire video about my favorite moments in Insryption, so I really like the totality of it all. But if I had to pick one moment that hit me the hardest, it was the ending. As you play through Insryption, you find out that you're basically playing as this YouTuber, Lucky Carter or something like that, and he comes into possession of a floppy disk of an old like 80s PC game of Insryption, of this card game that developer wants it back, and they want it back real bad because of the things it contains. And he's getting a lot of phone calls. He's getting a lot of people showing up at his house that he doesn't know who they are. And kind of the final scene of the game is this lady showing up, say, "Hey, can I have that thing back?" And he's like, "No." So she just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head, and that's it. And it is that blunt, it is that brutal, and it is awesome. I freaking love Insryption. I know I just spoiled the ending, but there's so much more to it that if you haven't played it, you need to play it. It is an incredible game. Okay, next up is Red Dead Redemption. It's the ending of this game, which is kind of the post-ending. In the original ending, you got John Marston. He's tracking down his former buddies for the FBI, basically, to get them arrested or kill them or whatever he has to do. And it's like, okay, I did this, so I get protection, right? They're like, nope. They just raid his house and kill John Marston. But John Marston has a son named Jack. And in the epilogue of the game, you play as Jack, and I think you have like one mission. If that's all I remember. It's been 15 years since I played it. It came out in 2010. But I just remember you hunt down the main FBI guy that John Marston was working with. He's fishing on this river, and you just fucking shoot him, and it's like the coolest thing in the world. And it's the latest title card ever, because that's when it runs up Red Dead Redemption right there, and then the credits roll. It is it's pure cinema, I think is what the kids say. It was amazing. I still remember that stuff to this day. It was so awesome. Red Dead Redemption is such a good game. They're getting the Switch 2 and the PS5 updates here soon. I might have to check that out. Okay, next up is Bioshock. And this is, for people who played it, it is the Would You Kindly reveal, where you find out that the main character, this entire storyline, has been manipulated by the guy you first meet on the radio. And you realize when he's giving you quests to go on, hey, you need to go over here, you need to go over here, you need to go do this, do that. He's saying, "Would you kindly?" And that you've been somehow brain manipulated to where if you hear that phrase, you have to do what it says. And it's like it mixes in the gameplay and the story in such a super cool way. And you find out that the guy on the radio, he's been the bad guy this whole time. And the guy you've been set out the kill, Andrew Ryan, he's not that bad. I think everyone's bad in the Bioshock world, but he's not the final boss. It's this Atlas guy. I can't remember his real name, or maybe that is his real name. But I just remember that Would You Kindly reveal. You find this room, and it's like all these photos and everything, and Would You Kindly's like scribbled on the wall, and it's just a cool thing when it makes you look back on the entire game and it changes your perspective on everything that you did, and it's awesome. Okay, next one is another ending. It is Final Fantasy X, the ending of that game. Now, I can't tell you the story of Final Fantasy X because I played it so long ago, and it is kind of a weird one where basically the main character is a dream, and he's a dream that's coming from a stone that contains a bunch of bodies from an old era of the world, and somehow he got into this new world, or the current world. Anyway, once you beat the final boss, the dream is over, and he has to go back to, or disappear. He didn't exist. And there's this, kind of real, I guess, poignant moment in the final scene where you're on top of this airship. The main characters fall in love with Yuna, the main lady of the title, and she's like, "No, you're not going anywhere." And she runs at him and just runs through him because he's starting to fade. You're starting to see all these spirits starting to fly up into the sky, and he's part of them. And she stands there and she's mad, and he goes to hug her, and he's like going right through her, and the music's really swelling, and it's super sad. And he ends up, running and jumping with the rest of the spirits and floats away. And it stuck with me for a while. It was pretty sad, and that's why it's on the list. I still remember those images of all that stuff to this day. Okay, next up for me is Metal Gear Solid. This is the Psycho Mantis boss fight of this game, and for a lot of people, there was different things. This boss fight did a bunch of different things in the game. It made you put the controller in port 2 to actually do any damage to him. But one of the things he did specifically was read your PlayStation memory card. And it was a Konami game, so if you played other Konami games, he would talk about them. And I had played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, as previously referenced on this list, and he said to me, "I see you like Castlevania." And I was like, "What? what are you talking about? And that 1998 blew my little brain out. I was like, what is going on? And that game does a lot of stuff like that, where like Meryl's codec number is on the back of the box. Like there's a screenshot of Snake talking to Meryl, and that's how you get that code number. Like the game literally tells you, look on the back of the box, and it's wild. And the stuff that Kojima was coming up with back then, like all that stuff that's in that game was just like miles ahead of what anybody else was thinking at the time. And yeah, it's amazing. It hit really hard at the time for me. Okay, next up is Mass Effect 2. And then this is specifically, it's not a moment, but it's an overall mission. It is the last mission. It is the suicide mission, is what they call it, because you're not expected to come back from it. And Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And throughout it, you're building up this like mercenary team of all these different specialists we need to take down the collectors. They're doing something for the Reapers. They're actually building up a gigantic human Reaper, which, you know, that thing kind of looks stupid. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the mission before that, where you have to make all these decisions throughout the mission about who does what in different scenarios. And things can go really bad. Characters can permanently die. And my first time playing through it, I did not make the right decisions. I was like, man, this sucks. This is dire. I must not know my team that well, because I am screwing up left and right. I mean, some of them are pretty obvious. Like there's a tech thing. You should send, you know, Tali to do that or something like that. Was Tali in the game? I can't remember. But there's some stuff that's super obvious. Some of it wasn't so super obvious. So like my first time through, I had a handful of people die. I was like, I'm not doing that, because you can transfer your save from 2 to 3. So I redid it. Got, you know, everyone was alive and I was fine. But that first time through was harrowing. I was like, man, this game is tearing my team apart. What is going on? And it was very memorable for me, so that's why it's on this list. Okay, next up is another one of my favorite games of all time. It is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It is the moment where Link grows up. So I was following this game for most of its development. Whatever little snippets I could find on the internet, through magazines, I was eating it up. So knowing that there was an adult Link in the game wasn't a huge shocker, just how it hits really hard, like right there in the middle of the game. So you play as Kid Link through 3 dungeons, you get 3 little things, it unlocks the Temple of Time. You go into the Temple of Time, you find the Master Sword. The Master Sword's the size of Kid Link, so he's not gonna be able to use it. But he tries to pick it up anyway. You know, flash forward, you talk to some sages, you wake up, and Link is big, and he looks cool, and he's got the Master Sword and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, let's freaking go. This game just opened up in a big way. I love big adult Link with his big freaking sword. Kid Link's fine, but adult Link is my favorite. He's my favorite Smash Brothers and stuff like that. It felt like the game just completely, and then you got 5 more dungeons you can go into. It's the Link to the Past formula, but it felt so, I don't know, fresh in 3D. Like I was just, that's when that game starts for me. And back then I was like, man, I was so ready. It was like, yes, let's go. Let's like green light, let's do this. And let's get Ganon. I was pumped. It got me pumped. Okay, the next game is The Last of Us. It's another ending here, but it is a specific point in the ending. And you know, the story of Last of Us, we got Ellie, who's immune to the fungal infection that turned into a zombie. She needs to be taken to the Firefly so they can figure out what she has that other humans don't, that she's immune to this virus or this infection. You get there and you find out that, hey, they're gonna have to kill Ellie to figure out what's going on. They're basically gonna dissect her body. Joel says, and he kills everybody in the building. And by that point, Ellie is she's sedated, she's not awake, and Joel gets her, takes her out of the building, and she wakes up and she's like, hey, you know what happened? Were they able to find a cure? And Joel says, no. He lies to her. It's Joel's lie. That's my favorite point of the game, because that completely changes everything about their relationship, everything in the world, really. Like that one lie is just, it changes the world completely. He's like, nope, they couldn't do it. We're just gonna move on. And like, she knows he's probably not telling the truth. Like you can see, she gives her like a skeptical look or whatever. And yeah, I haven't seen the TV show. I've only played the games. And I hope they did that in the TV show, in the end of the last season, I guess, because that was a pretty, punch in the gut moment. It was just raw, it was brutal. Like, Joel line, man. It's on this list. Okay, next up is Shadow of the Colossus. Now this is the final boss and the ending overall. Now in this game, you're killing, 16 colossi, and the final one is basically a building, and it's just a level in itself. You're having to scale all of its different body parts and like swing around on its arms and stuff like that to get to the top of the head. And that part's epic on its own. The whole game's epic. It's an amazing experience. But that final boss specifically, just like, whoa. Especially that playing on the PS2, you're like, this is a PS2 game. This is ridiculous. After you beat them, you realize that these 16 colossi were holding back a god. Like, they were sealing a god away. Not a very nice one. And you came to this land to bring your dead girlfriend back to life. And you thought this would help, but it doesn't. This god is going to take your body and make us his host. You're the bad guy now. You're a Colossus. And at this point, his army shows up. It's like, hey, what are you doing? And they basically kill the main character. And then in the kind of the post scene, the girl who was dead, she wakes up and she finds a little baby there where the final battle took place. And it's a baby, and it's got horns. And this is the same team that made Ico, whatever it was called, and that had a whole thing with a kid with horns, and like the kid with the horns has to be put away in this castle because they're. So it's maybe it's connected. I don't know. I didn't play Ico, but I don't know. It was such a cool little twist. Directly following that freaking crazy epic boss fight, and then that twist, and then the other twist that the girl wakes up and finds this baby, and she's gonna start this life in this weird land where all the Colossuses lived. It was a fun ass time. Please play Shadow of the Colossus. It's amazing. Okay, last game on this list, probably the most recent one, I believe, is Alan Wake 2. Just like Control, it's another musical moment from the old Guards of Asgard. It is the part where you fight with the song Herald of Darkness playing in the background, and you're like in this TV studio, I believe. It's been a while. They integrate, just like the Control Ashtray Maze, they integrate a lot of the music into the level and stuff, but this time they have these giant billboards everywhere in the level of the band and the actor who plays Alan Wake and the actor who plays Mr. Door, and they're like singing and dancing and doing all this stuff. And like during the parts where you have to like explore a little bit more, the song kind of calms down, but it's still playing in the background, and like the characters on these big screens are like pointing to where you need to go. They're like this or like that, and it hit really hard. It didn't hit as hard as Control for me because I had heard the term Herald of Darkness, and obviously the first one is going to hit you the hardest because, you know, if you see this big musical number being played in this third-person shooter, the first time is going to be more memorable. But this, when they stepped it up for Herald of Darkness, I think Herald of Darkness is a better song, and the whole integration with the FMV and all the band being part of it too, and they're part of the story as well, and the battle system and stuff, and like fighting all the shadows and stuff while all that's happening, and it was just, man, it was a fun ass moment, really carried by the music, I think, and I think that song is really freaking cool. Okay, that was the last game. Those have been 12. Some of my favorite moments in video games. Please, you got any ones that are not on this list? Leave them in the comments. I love talking about this stuff. Hey, there might be something I forgot. Might be something you might point out, something like, hey, what about this cool thing? I was like, shit, I completely forgot. That is a cool moment. I want to go back and play that game. Or, you know, if you want to be vague and mention some games that have some other cool moments that I've never played, I love to hear that type of stuff. So, yes, I've been Andy from the Pixel Pub. Please like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. Peace out.